Hi students, this is Heather. I wanted to go over the preschool observation assignment. This assignment is actually worth a lot of points, so it's worth 120 points, so that is a lot in our class. This one in particular is going to be important because you're going to need to save it for when you take your practicum class with Dee Dee. So you will need it, so make sure you keep it, and I'm not going to be keeping it, so make sure you're keeping it. So what we're going to do, since this current semester we are dealing with the coronavirus, I actually made observation videos of my own daughter. Her birthday is November 23rd, 2015, so you're going to have to do the math on it and figure out how many years she is and how many months it is to help you with your assignment. But instead of having to go out and to observe a child, you guys will just be using my child. She is my youngest. So with that also being said, any other semester, you could still use these videos or you can find another child that you know. But for this current semester, we're going to be just observing my daughter, London. So with this, once again, just like the infant or toddler observation assignment, we're going to be looking at the domains. So really important to look at the whole child. So we're going to be looking at the interactions of all these different domains. So hopefully the feedback from the first assignment will help you to do this. I really wanted to kind of suggest, I know she's my daughter and of course she's perfect, she's mama's baby, but that's not true. She has her strengths and she has areas that she should work on too. So please do address those in the paper. So what we're going to be going over, let me scroll down, is you're going to put her name, London Williams, her age, you got to figure that out. I put her birthday there again to remind you. So the first domain that we're going to be going over is the physical domain. So you need to describe the appearance, the growth, give that detail. I even broke it down with different points so you kind of know where the points are coming from. You need to go over gross and fine motor skills. So once again, even in these sections, when you're talking about your observation and seeing the skills and going to really give me detail from the various recordings that I did of her, you need to break down what gross and fine motor skills means, like a definition, and you need to cite an APA. So you can either use the textbook or you can use the PowerPoint. You do not need any outside sources, and I actually prefer you not to use outside sources. So just the textbook or the PowerPoint, and that's all I want to see from that. So you're going to give a list of, gross motor skills, fine motor skills, and give some details on that. You're going to talk about, does she prefer large or fine motor skills? You can probably see in the videos which one she prefers or what she's good at. And you need to give explanations why you think that too. So does she have gesture, facial features to communicate? The 4 indicators of good health that you're observing the child. And then one of the key things, so that's kind of your skills, like you're showing the child skills. Then the last part of the physical development piece, you're going to be doing the analysis concluding thoughts. So you're going to be doing a summary, kind of recapping everything you've seen, why those things are important. What's very particularly important for points is really talking about, do you consider the child typical or atypical developing? You need to support your claims. So you need to support it with your observation from the videos, and you also need to support it with the textbook. With the textbook or PowerPoint, I'll take either, you do need to cite an APA. So I want details in this area. It's worth a lot of points, so be mindful of that. It's worth a lot of points. So give me those statements. So then, so out of the physical developmental domains, it's worth 22 points as a whole. So I just broke them down. So the next thing we're going to move on to is cognitive and language development. So does the child show curiosity? Does she show interest in new situations? Describe when she seemed like she was being curious. What are some of the challenges to stay in the activity for a long time? Did she have a challenge doing this? Give some examples with length of the attention span. So give some specifics. Even if you're timing it, like, okay, that was 10 seconds, that's better detail is more important. Describe the child how she participates in problem solving. Does she learn by trial and error or takes another approach? Does the child be supported by another child or an adult? So I do have some videos with her and her sister, so you can kind of look at those. My son's in it for a little bit, but he didn't want to be recorded. So now you got to look for symbolic I can't even speak, representation. So with that, this is something again that you're probably going to want to define this term. You're going to look for, you're going to give examples. Does she use classification? So really talk about, you would define this, does she use serialization? Like you're going to really define these terms and cite an APA and then describe if she does them or not. So you're going to talk about their thoughts and actions, cite an example when she was being egocentric thinking, and you need to probably, define that, explain it, say what she was doing specifically. How does she describe objects that she sees or hears? So try to quote her as much as you can. Listen carefully to her sentence lengths and vocabulary, and look for any examples of overgeneralization. So once again, you probably want to define that term. Talk about the sentence length and vocabulary and the parts of speech that is hard for you to understand. So nouns, verbs, adjectives, examples and quotations, just to kind of know she is slightly speech delayed. So she does get minimal services for that. So just kind of let you know. So cognitive and language, that was kind of what we went over, like all the skills that you're going to be seeing. You need to define the terms. You need to give specifics from the observation assignment, like the observations that I provided. Now, the next part of the cognitive language development is doing that analysis, conclusion, thoughts. So you're going to, sum it up. You're going to say exactly, where she's at. One of the key things is really talking about typical and atypical development. And even with cognitive, it might be different than language. So you need to kind of address both of them and kind of separate them. With that being said, you need to support your claim. So you need to have the observation and you need to have textbook support on that. So please note this is worth a lot of points. So make sure you're doing a lot of details in that area. And then the cognitive language is possibly out of 32 points. And then the next domain that we're going to be doing is the social and emotional domain. So we're going to be looking at social and emotional development. So the first part, did the child express intense feelings with words? She has a good one on there. What does it mean for her to express her feelings? Kind of talk about that. What type of play is she spending some of her time in? In the video is what you're seeing. So remember, you're going to be looking up the theory of play. You're going to be defining the terms. You're going to say which one she's participating in and why. You need to explain it with your observation. So you do need to cite textbook. That'd be a good time. What type of temperament do you think she's in? So you're going to have to describe temperament. You're going to have to define it and say what she kind of abides to. Does she seem like a leader or a follower? Talk about that. Was it evident to see the child acquiring initiative or guilt? So look for things that are unusual ideas, how she reacts to rules, how she deal with conforming. So you want some specifics from the observation. Dramatic play activity, does she seem to enjoy it? So you can kind of describe that. And there's quite a few little snippets of active play, of dramatic play. What evidence does observe the development of gender awareness? So is she aware of gender awareness? And kind of describe, what she's doing, what she's saying, what she's playing with, maybe even clothing. Like you can go pretty in a wide different range for gender awareness. Does she accept responsibility for small jobs, or does she attempt to avoid responsibility? I'm not really sure if I got that, but I'm just going to let you know now she tries to avoid responsibility. Describe the situation when the child shows empathy for another child. I think she has some towards her sister, but I did get one with the dog. So if you want to do the dog one, that might work there. What evidence do you see the child's prosocial behavior? So kind of look at that. The dog one can be pulled in there. She does have a couple moments of prosocial behavior too. Any example that she avoided or resolved conflict with another child? So she had some conflicts. So you'll see that. And then that would be kind of summing up all those skills, talking about, giving details in that. So then the next part would be the analysis and conclusion thought on social emotional development. So you're going to need to have some detail in there. You're going to be summarizing things. One of the key things I'm looking for, are you going to say she's typical or atypical developing? So you need to support your claims with textbook and observation. And if it's, you can use textbook or PowerPoint, and they need to be cited in APA. And so you really want some specifics in that area. And then the next part is the interrelationships domains of development. So what you need to do is kind of describe the interrelationships, like how do you see these different developmental domains working together? So, seeing how cognitive and social works together, and, physical and language and, all of them put together. So you're really going to be describing that. You also need to decide on an activity that will help support her. So I do have provided a long list of different activities in a huge document that you can pick one or you can make your own up. So whichever one you want to do, but you do need to describe it and how that can help her and kind of talk about her strengths. What you really need to also address is how do the domains and the behaviors affect each other. So I'm looking for a lot of that and, want specifics, not, vague items. Talk about the child's current skills, any potential things that be long-term outcomes, even talking about some of her weaknesses. Explain the importance of the early years and interaction between nature versus nurture, kind of that genetics and nature, and then the social environmental factors. So I'm really looking for nature versus nurture in these areas. And then talking about the various areas of different developments. If you don't understand what interrelated means, you really need to look it up because it is very important to understand. It's kind of working together. And then another thing that's the next part is your concluding thoughts. So this one is a little bit different than your infant and toddler one. It's similar, but it has additional pieces to it. So once again, you're going to be talking about the 4 pieces of information, the 4 concepts that you've gained. So remember, this is not a list. It needs to be detailed, at least a sentence or 2 per concepts that you learned specifically about from this assignment or this area of age group. So I want specifics. It has to be 4 arm docking points. You also are going to be not needing what we call the skills. So here, this is something different than the other one. You're going to be talking about the skills that you have gotten from this assignment. So I'll be aware of, I'm capable of, I know how to do. So I want specifics in there. And then once again, you're going to be talking about an action plan. So your action plan is going to be 3 action plans again. You need specifics, you need to describe them. So whatever you want to do as a future educator or even as a parent, I'm open to either, but you need to really give specifics. So you want specific goals, you want to explain those. It's not just a list or you're not going to get full points and I'm going to dock points. And then another thing that's different than the infant toddler one is talking about the beliefs. So how did this assignment help you with your beliefs about child development? Was there anything about the assignment that made you somewhat change your beliefs or support your beliefs, whatever your belief systems are, which is fine. And then I even have like the grading rubric. So out of the whole like observation, talking about the 3 developmental domains, those 25 questions that are provided, that's for 55 points. So that's a lot of points. Then talking about the conclusion and then the analysis, that typical and atypical part section, that is going to be worth 30 points. So it's 10 points apiece for each developmental domain. And then analyzing your interactions. So this is talking about the interactions of the domains, the activity, those type of things. That's going to be worth 10 points again. And then what's different from the infant toddler one is your reflection conclusion. That is going to be worth 15 points because we added 2 more things into it. And this is all going to be worth, then quality of writing, of course. So I'm looking for APA title page, APA reference page. I'm looking for citing an APA. I'm looking for hopefully no writing issues and no errors. If there are, a couple points will be deducted for that. And then quality of writing is really what I'm looking for. So it is worth 120 points. And I have about 11 videos of London up. Some are short. I just think the longest might be 8 minutes, but they're pretty short. You will have to watch them all in order to do the paper. So hopefully that helped with your guys' assignment. It's very similar to the infant toddler, so look at that feedback, but there are a couple things that are going to have more details in this one because this one's worth quite a few more points. So I hope that helped, and I'm currently hiding in my garage for my children to do this, and I'm getting a little hot. So hope you guys have a good day.